Hi guys, it's Caroline, and today I'm going to be doing a TBR for June and the Clear Your Shit 1.5 version. Now, the idea of Clear Your Shit is to get rid of stuff off of your TBR, and it's got kind of cute, maybe more witchy vibes. I also want to do the whatever you want-a-thon, but there's a lot of prompts for those, and I am in the middle of June starting the Columbia Publishing course. I have no idea how much I'm going to be able to read or not, and the whatever-a-thon, I like to do one prompt, one book, and there's just so many prompts and it was overwhelming. So I'm gonna just attempt to do that with whatever my TBR is, but I'm gonna do the Clear Your Shit-a-thon. Let's get into it. First of all, there's a little bingo board that I'll put right here that I think is super cute, and I'm just gonna go space by space. So the first square is black or white cover, and for that I'm going to be doing Elantris by Brandon Sanderson. Last year I read the Mistborn series. I've also in the past year read Skyward and Starsight, and I really have been enjoying Brandon Sanderson books, so I think it's time to pick up another one. It's been far too long, and I don't actually know a ton about Elantris, partially because right now it's only a one book on its own. I do believe Brandon Sanderson will go back and make a second book, but it's way down the line in his plan for books that he's going to write. And I think it's about a world where things are rotting. Magic has been sort of sucked out of it. I'm just interested to get back into a Brandon Sanderson Cosmere kind of thing, and what better time to do it than the summer. Next up is a genre you don't normally read, and for that I will be reading the Thursday Murder Club. Now I know that the whole point of this is to get stuff off of your TBR, but two of these books are actually going to be library books, and the reason for that is just simply because those library books I've already checked out, so got to get them going, and those are audiobooks. The reason it's a genre I don't normally read is it's sort of like a cozy mystery, like an Agatha Christie type, I think, although not necessarily a detective-based one, although there might be a detective. I don't know. It's like a club of these people. I think some of them are older, in their 70s, and they're trying to solve it. It's a wildly popular book in the UK, but not really necessarily that popular in the US. I do love Agatha Christie type stuff, but I don't often read it, and I think part of it is a lot of things that claim to be that turn out to be either bad or just are not that at all. Maybe this one won't be like that at all. We'll see. Next up is Magical Object, and maybe I'm fudging this because again, I haven't read these books, so I don't 100% know that there's these things in them, but I'm picking Legend Born by Tracy Deonn, and this is a book based on Arthurian legend, so I just feel there has to be some sort of magical object, a sword, Excalibur, or potions or anything like that. I'm just banking on it, and we shall see. But this is about a girl who goes to a high school sleepaway program on the University of North Carolina Chapel Hill's campus, which is really appealing to me. Also, I've heard so many good things about the actual fantasy. I do think it is in a way dark academia because it's looking at the sort of secret societies of academia, and the main character is Black and also dealing with grief after the loss of her mother. So I think it's exploring a lot about grief, but also about being a person of color in sort of a whitewashed academic setting. So I've never heard a bad word about this book, and I want to read it so badly. Next up is a comfort read, and for that I will be reading With Teeth by Kristen Arnett. This is by the same author who wrote Mostly Dead Things, and while I don't think that this is going to be completely warm and fuzzy like you might expect a romance or something along those lines, I do find Kristen Arnett as a person very, very funny, even when she deals about difficult topics. Mostly Dead Things, the main character seemed to be a bit of an alcoholic, was really going through it, and I still laughed and had a good time. And also it's set in Florida, which is a very similar climate and just area to where I live, in the sense that it's hot, it's humid, people are weird, people tend to be on the conservative side, but also people just do weird stuff all the time, and yeah, so I really kind of identify with that setting. And this, I believe, is about two lesbian moms who are raising a child who turns out to be a very, very difficult child, and sort of this idea that they're struggling with because they don't want people to think, oh, your child is difficult because you guys are two moms instead of just being a normal couple. But also I think the kid is just difficult, but I think it's also about motherhood and relationships. I think it'll be funny, it'll be hard hitting, but it'll also be fast and a comfort read. Next up is Free Space, and for that I will be doing Milk Fed because I do need to read it for work, just like with Teeth, and this just didn't fit into any of the other prompts. This is about a lapsed Jewish woman who I think is struggling with an eating disorder, and her therapist suggests that she take a break from communication with her own mother, partially because the therapist believes that's where a lot of her like eating disorders are coming from. And the main character then kind of becomes friends with this older Orthodox Jewish woman who feeds her a bunch. And so I think it's about motherhood and like found motherhood and eating, and also I believe religion, because this book does mention in the synopsis about her being lapsed and then the woman she meets being Orthodox Jewish. So next is a book that is more than 400 pages, and this one clocks in at almost 600, so it fits the bill. Vagabonds by Hao Jingfang, which is translated by Ken Liu, who I am really excited to start diving into his works. But this is about a world, I think it takes place in like the 2100s, and the idea is that a lot of people, or a chunk of people, moved to Mars and sort of became disconnected from people on Earth, and then after like 20 years, some people came back to Earth, like a cohort of people, to sort of reconnect Earth and Mars. But then those people kind of feel displaced after a while because they don't feel of Earth, but they no longer feel of Mars. And I think it's just about the communication between the two. That's all I'm getting from the back. And honestly, like, there's 600 pages, so I know there's a ton more than that, but I'm ready for it to just surprise me. Next up is a creepy book, and for that I will be listening to the audiobook Cowboy Graves, and this is a collection of 3 novellas by Robert Bolaño, and it's translated, and I think it's going to be creepy. The first novella is called Cowboy Graves. The second one is called like the French something of horrors. So I do think there is going to be creepiness about it. I do believe that all the novellas deal with people who are leaving fascist or socialist regimes. So I think they will be scary. I think that fits. So we're going with it. Next up is a book in a favorite genre, and this might be a bit of a stretch because this is not really a genre so much as like a really specific type, but that is The Other Black Girl. Now this is a book about a woman who's the only Black woman in her like publishing company, and then all of a sudden another Black woman gets hired. She's really excited, she becomes friends with this other woman, and then all of a sudden, like, first of all, people tend to like seem to prefer the new like coworker, and it's mildly annoying to our main character who thinks like, okay, is there enough room for 2 of us? But then she starts getting these like mean letters that seem to be coming from the other Black girl in the office that are like, you need to leave, you need to quit. So it's sort of about figuring out who did it and, you know, dealing with the whiteness of the publishing industry. Why do I say this is my favorite genre? So I love books like Queenie that are contemporaries that deal with like more hard-hitting issues, but specifically adult contemporaries that deal with young adults. And by young adults, I don't mean like YA, but I mean like 20s and 30s. I think that really appeals to me because I am approaching my mid-20s, and I'm starting a career. I want to work in publishing, so it is really like enjoyable to me to read about people who are trying to kind of uncover the world. And I also like when they have like a bigger message or something important that they're exploring, like race or mental health. And then the last one is Something Elemental. Now again, as well as the magical objects ones, this might be fudging it, I might be totally wrong, but I am going to pick Witches Steeped in Gold. I actually don't 100% know how much like gold plays a part in it, but gold is an element, and it is an element of this book. And it is about 2 girls. One is the daughter of the reigning matriarch, and one has been imprisoned for a long time. They both want to see the matriarch dead, and that's because the matriarch is set to kill her daughter as a way of kind of taking more power. Yeah, I don't know much more about this. It seems really good. Again, a lot of people have put this on their most anticipated books of the year, although I haven't yet heard what people think about it, so I'm ready to just read it for myself. Okay, y'all, we will see if I'm able to complete the bingo board, but those are 9 books that I'm really excited to get around to, and you know, who knows what the month of June has in store for me, but there's only one way to find out, and that is to stick around for my June wrap up. All right, that's all for today. Bye.